Hi, my name is Lara. This is my channel, Inner Goddess Guidance. So I created this channel for people who are on the path to self-healing to achieve their self-mastery in their life, and yada, yada, yada. It's 2 o'clock in the morning here in Seattle, Washington, United States of America. And lately, Spirit's been waking me up at 1 a.m. to give me my information, if you will, downloads, inspirations, talking to tests. I get tests at 1 a.m. In fact, I've had several tests that show up at 1 a.m. So um, the reason why I'm sitting down at 2, now it's like 2:30. Yeah, it's 2:41. And I just have to laugh because I just did a whole video. And then I had to go grab a different oracle deck because as I was shuffling, I heard the message that what we needed wasn't in that deck. So I paused the video to go get a new deck, and when I came back to start the video again, I inadvertently erased the whole thing. So I'm starting again, which is fine. You know, this is all divinely guided, and I have faith in that. So I'm going to start again. If you see me playing with something in my hand, it's my new orb, if you will. My round. I can't even talk this morning. You know, it's 2:41 a.m., right? What do you expect? Okay. Anyway, I was given the message this morning that I was to go ahead and make a video, and I resist these messages, just so you know. I resist a lot of them. Once you do start listening to the messages you get, whether it's at 1 a.m. or any time of the day, if you do start following the messages, you will get more. Because it's a test. Are you listening to what we're telling you? And if you do what you're being guided to do, then you'll start to get more communication. Just saying. So when you sense your resistance to a message, you might just try allowing that message, following its inspiration, as I'm doing right now, because I'm not taking a shower, I'm not putting on makeup, and yeah, there's bags under my eyes. So, but I was told to do this. So, what was I told to do? I was told to give a message about toxicity. I was given clarity this morning. The inspirations that I get at 1 a.m. are sort of like glimpses to the box top of a jigsaw puzzle. So I've long felt that, life is sort of like a jigsaw puzzle. And we're all trying to put pieces together without a box top. We get little pieces of the puzzle and we start putting together, and we focus and we work in on that one area. And if you've ever, we've all put together jigsaw puzzles, but I've in my life done some that were pretty darn complicated and took a long time, and you're searching around for the one piece and you finally find it and you finally fit it in, and this one little area comes into clarity and makes sense, and woohoo, you found it, or you finished the edges, and how great that feels once you get that done. And so in the course of our lifetime, we're putting together, in this analogy, we're putting together the jigsaw puzzle of our life. And we're given these pieces, we're working through it, we're working it out. And I guess if we're lucky, by the end of our lifetime, we've gained clarity on the whole of the purpose of our life, of all of the actions and all of the learning experiences. It's all come into clarity because the pieces have all been put together. If we've lived our life well, or I suppose even if we haven't. But what happens to me at 1 a.m. is that there are times when, for whatever reason, Spirit gives me a picture, some information that gives me clarity over the whole box top photo. that you would be using to put together the pieces. I get a quick, like, I this is something that's going to help you put together the puzzle more quickly or more easily, or here's the divine sense, here's the plan, here's the big picture. Today it had to do with toxicity and holding ourselves accountable. So, people have really been focused lately a lot on toxins in our environment, like in our food, in cleaning products, in building products, in water, in our air. All over there's toxins outside of us. And some people are really, really good, and I've been really, really good at buying organic and wanting that for my son and all of that. We have internal toxins, and I don't mean physical ones, I mean energetic toxins and behavioral toxins. So toxicity, that is stuff that we might have carried with us that has accumulated from our pasts, our experiences as children. Those toxicities can be with us from generations. Those toxicities might be with us from lifetimes. This is part of karma. Those toxic patterns and clearing those toxic patterns. It's a part of what we're supposed to do now. Just the same way we've become aware of the toxins in our environment, the physical toxins that are making us sick, we are being asked to become aware of our energetic, mental, emotional, behavioral, historic toxins, and to clear them, to become conscious and to make a conscious effort to clear them. Now, this is really a challenge. And the reason it's a challenge is because the toxins that are behavioral, energetic, historic, or familial, these toxins have impacted our vision, our perception. And this comes back to people being defensive in the way that they respond to the world. So in other words, every single person is responding to the world from a standpoint of they're looking through the toxic shield, that toxic veil. But if you don't know that it's toxic, then you can't remove it. And it's somewhat easier to look without and to see toxic behaviors and patterns and energy in others, and much harder to see it from yourself, for yourself, because you are looking through it, if that makes sense. And so you get a lot of people who are or we all have a tendency to believe we are right. Basically, it's like saying, I've been looking through this toxic veil my whole life. I don't know it's toxic, but I can see that you're looking through your toxic veil, and you're wrong and I'm right. The only way to get to a place of health, the next level to level up for all of us, is to become fiercely accountable to ourselves for removing our own toxic veil. not other people. Everyone's trying to fix everybody else and point the finger at what they have to do to remove their toxicity. It's hard to look at ourselves and remove our own. So basically, I was told this through my experiences over the past just over a week. And the clarity had become clearer and clearer until this morning at 1 a.m. when I was awakened with the clear message that I had to sit down and do this video and deliver this message. So the advice is for you to walk away, for you to become aware of your own energy in any given situation, and to eliminate as much as possible toxic environmental things, which includes people, situations, of course, things like food and all of that. So anything in your environment that you can remove yourself from that's toxic. That's a first step. But the next and harder step is to hold yourself accountable for removing your own toxic veil. And that means taking the time to ask yourself the questions that are hard, which are how and why do I think I'm right? How do I think I'm right? And why do I think I'm right? And is there anything toxic in that? Where am I projecting out of myself onto other people? And oftentimes that's where we are thinking they're wrong about things. So hold yourself fiercely accountable, if you can, to asking yourself the questions that will remove that toxic veil so that you can be healthy. And basically, as you do that, this is a conscious effort. It's not something that I believe energy healers could do it, but this is the harder work. This is becoming conscious of what is toxic in your environment. And then you have to hold yourself accountable. You can't say to other people that they're in toxic situations and won't walk away because of their own toxic patterns, their own toxic beliefs or structures if you're not doing that. And so starting the whole channel, the very first message I got prior to starting the channel was stay in your lane. All you can do is stay in your lane. Take care of yourself. Don't try to, it's like we're all headed down the freeway together in our cars. And you're in a lane and you've got people in your life are also in cars and they're in the lanes beside you. And you can't just go over and start steering their car. You have to control your car and stay in your lane. And if that means that you have to remove yourself from toxic situations, because it's not at all loving to stay in a toxic situation. It's not. It's not loving to you and it's not loving to the other person. The most loving thing that you can do when you see a toxic situation in your life is walk away from it if you cannot heal it. So do your best, say your piece, hold yourself accountable, look inward, like what's my toxic behavior in this situation? Where am I accountable? And then walk away completely. Remain committed to removing toxins from your environment on every level. The same way you would take care of your child's diet, or the same way you would remove a toxin from their bedroom if they were sleeping in it. You need to remove yourself from situations in your environment that are toxic, and purge yourself of the toxic behavior patterns. And that's the hard work. But if you start doing it in earnest, it will be helpful. It would be really helpful. So when I left after the last video, I went to get a different deck, and I grabbed this one. Hopefully this will be the deck. So I had originally asked Spirit to give us a message from the Goddess Oracle. Maybe Spirit just wanted me to do the whole video again. I don't know. But I grabbed this, the Divine Feminine Oracle, and this one is by Megan Watterson. And I thought, well, maybe this is the deck that Spirit wanted me to use instead. And if it doesn't come out on this one, then we'll try the Power of Surrender cards. I'm still learning where Spirit's guiding me, but Spirit definitely did not want me to do the Goddess Oracle today, because there's just nothing was coming out. Dear Spirit of the universe of love and light, please be with us in this time and place as we focus our collective intention on gaining wisdom and guidance for our journey toward healing and self-mastery. We ask for open hearts and minds to receive the messages that will serve our highest and best good in the service of healthy love in all forms, with deep gratitude. Thank you. So this is from the Divine Feminine Oracle and Guidebook. Please give us one message, Spirit, if it's in here. Okay, well, there it is. Okay. Okay, well, let's try. 2 came out. Oh, these are beautiful. But let's try this one. The first one that popped up that was face up was the Queen of Heaven and Earth. I have nothing to hide. I see and accept all that I am. I believe this is the one. I see and accept all that I am. Inanna. Inanna. Oh, that's right. This is a different kind of book. I have to look it up. Sorry. Where are you, Inanna? You'd think, oh, there she is. She's all the way at the end, 202. 202, which of course is 22. Always special when we get a little special message. Inanna, the Queen of Heaven and Earth, I have nothing to hide. I see and accept all that I am. So don't hide from yourself, I think. You know, that toxic veil that you're looking through, in a way, is hiding. You're hiding from yourself. You can't see yourself clearly if you've got that toxic veil on. So, who she is. Inanna represents the power that comes back to us when we accept and integrate our shadow. Inanna was the most prominent female deity in ancient Mesopotamia. At the height of her worship around Uruk period of 4000 to 2000 BCE, temples and shrines dedicated to Inanna lined the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Her name is Sumerian for Lady of Heaven. Her temples housed her priestesses, and they would each take a man to bed with them on the spring equinox to reenact the divine marriage, or Eros Gamos, I think I said that right, Eros Gamos, between Inanna and her consort, Dumuzi. The Eros Gamos is an ancient ritual of uniting the opposites from within, the male and the female, the light and the dark, and most especially, heaven and earth. This theme occurs in accounts of Inanna's descent into the underworld to find her sister, Ereshkigal. She must take off an article of clothing at each of the 7 gates, so that when she finally reaches her sister, she is naked. And when Inanna ascends, she does so with Ereshkigal's power. When your soul selects this card, Inanna goes into the depths of her own unconscious to merge with her twin sister self. She becomes more powerful because she's no longer using conscious psychic energy to keep her shadow or negative attributes hidden deep underground. She courageously descends and faces and accepts herself that are the aspects of herself that are hard to get to when she's fully dressed or cloaked heavily in the ego. Inanna is an invitation to get naked. She wants us to drop our defenses. She wants us to see how holy and sacred it is to be vulnerable. As above, so below. In this alchemical adage that suggests heaven and earth are not so separate. It suggests that within us, deep down in the dark cages where we place parts of ourselves, the truths that exist there also exist right here on the surface of our everyday lives. So, if we are exerting great amounts of energy to keep from seeing our shadow, it is actually playing a large role in our conscious life. When we can face what we think is dark or negative about ourselves, really embrace it and see it for what it is, a beautiful broken place that's a call for love, then we can emerge more whole. We can marry the light and dark aspects of our being, and in uniting with our twin sister from the depths, we can stop projecting her onto other women. We can see and own the hot mess we often are, and not to get sabotaged by it. The light must cast a shadow, and the high priestess is the one who gets called to love them both. Soul voice meditation. Can I love my shadow as much as my light? Intention. I have nothing to hide. I see and accept all that I am. So I think that does have very much to do with recognizing the toxicity or patterns of toxicity and clearing them. It doesn't mean to be judgmental about them. It does mean to go in and be fiercely accountable for them, to understand them, and in that way to be able to clear that. There may be some stuff that is very hard to clear ever, but at least if we're aware of it, like being aware of our shadow, we know when it's showing up, and we know when we are interacting with the world from that place. And in that way, we can be more healthy and loving. But it all starts from within. We got to go in and do the excavating and the delving and the cleaning out and purging of ourselves and our own toxicity before we can ever expect the world to reflect that back to us. So, yeah, let's take a power of surrender card and see if we get some confirmation through that too. Spirit, please give us one power of surrender card. We wanted to come over, it just didn't. Let's try again. One power of surrender card, maybe for how to approach eliminating toxic aspects of our lives within and without. I think it's this one. Let's see. Okay, well, I'm going to take it. Surrender to the magic of who you are. We all have magic in us, even in the mundane aspects of life. Remember that you are a magical being with a uniqueness and worth that come from just being you. Yeah. Look at her sitting in that field of beautiful flowers. Surrender to the magic of who you are. Doesn't mean we need to be sort of judgmental of our toxic aspects as we do the work to clear them. We are magic. I think Inanna was kind of doing her own magic as she went in to claim her shadow aspects. This is very much about self-acceptance, understanding that we are powerful and magical in all individuals. And part of doing that is understanding the aspects of ourselves, both the light and the shadow, those parts of ourselves that we feel are healthy, and those parts of ourselves that are toxic. But as much as possible, I think that the magic comes when we're willing to do the work of facing those aspects and being able to understand them, to release them, instead of letting them control us. When we're not aware of our shadow aspects, when we're not aware of our own toxicity, that's when we start projecting onto other people and the world around us. And how do you know? Again, it comes back to your own energy. How do you know when it's a toxic situation? It doesn't feel good. How do you know when you're facing a toxic aspect of yourself? It's uncomfortable. The energy that you're experiencing is off. You don't feel balanced. You feel sick. You might even get sick. We can actually physically manifest the symptoms of those toxic behavior patterns, those toxic emotions, those toxic beliefs. When we're functioning that way and our energy gets off and we're in that, how do you know when it's healthy? Well, try to think back to a time when you didn't feel toxic. Have you ever felt a time in your life when you felt completely accepted, completely loved, completely at peace with yourself in a moment? Were you able to sort of succumb to joy? Was the feeling light? And if so, what was going on at that time? Because if you've never felt, if you've always sort of lived through that veil of toxicity, what were the times when the veil was lifted, when you felt relief from it? Because that might have been your time of health. And if that was your time of health, then you might ask yourself, what was going on then? What had I released? What was I experiencing so that I can get back to that state? It's hard work. It is hard work. But it should be well worth it. Because as you begin to peel those layers, you're going to spend more and more time in that state of peace, genuine peace, acceptance, and magic, and less time looking through the world, looking through your veil of toxicity onto a world that seems toxic, and that's all you can see. So that was the message. The message was how to hold yourself accountable for your own toxicity in the way you see, behave, act, not just accusing others of their toxicity, they will never ever be able to. You'll never be able to convince them to see anything or. But there's an energetic reality, and first you got to take care of yourself. Okay. So that's it for today. I have no idea how long I've been talking. It looks like about 30 minutes. So special message at 3:10 a.m. Bye.